Sally couldn't believe what Dr. Campbell was telling her. She stared blankly at him as he showed her the scan. She felt finally validated for all the suffering she'd undergone. She felt overwhelmed by her emotions. Delight, as well as a strong love for Skye, coexisted with bitterness. Sally debated whether or not to take further action against Dr. Campbell as she weighed her choices. Sally Mitchum, a 44-year-old woman residing in Oregon, endured the worst 5 years of her life recently. She got divorced, and it left her heartbroken and exhausted. Starting fresh at the age of 44 was no easy task, but she knew it had to be done. However, she didn't even know where to attempt to begin. Things soon changed when a special somebody entered her life. Sally served in the Marine Corps for years, and she seldom complained. She was the kind of woman who kept her mouth shut and did what she needed to do. However, the pain she experienced when her marriage ended was unlike anything she'd ever experienced before. Sally thought that she'd never find love again. However, thanks to an unexpected gift, Sally was overwhelmed by feelings of love again. Before she met Skye, Sally believed that she would never be able to recover from the loss of her marriage. After her divorce, Sally researched various methods to overcome her divorce. She hadn't anticipated it taking as long as it did. In an attempt to find peace in her loneliness, Sally went on numerous hikes into the forest. After her one hike, she heard a loud shriek coming from the trees. The noise was terrible. She could tell there was a great deal of pain behind it, and it reminded her of her own inner turmoil. Sally found herself in a meadow after following the noise. The scene she came across when she brushed aside a vast tangle of bushes made her cry. She identified the puppy, which was obviously wounded and underweight. The puppy was really gorgeous. She was a little Siberian husky with black and white streaks on her fur. Sally was completely enthralled by her dark blue eyes. Sally couldn't believe the pup survived during the coldest month of the year. Sally covered the poor animal in her jacket before making her way to the closest vet. The only problem the vet could find was a sprained paw, but aside from that, the pup was in good condition. Sally had already formed a very special connection with Skye, so it was only logical that she would adopt the pup. The metamorphosis was astonishing over the course of a few weeks. Skye flourished and developed rapidly. Skye and Sally created an unshakable bond quickly. But Sally had no idea how remarkable Skye was. Skye was the quintessential husky. She had a tremendous amount of energy and enjoyed playing. Sally understood she liked to roam and scavenge, and it was presumably how she got trapped in the forest. On their excursions together, Skye had a habit of racing off when her nose discovered something. Sally quickly realized she had a distinct personality. It was clear to Sally that there was nothing ordinary about Skye. She frequently enjoyed rummaging in the woods and locating wild truffles. However, she was not properly trained, and thus she would end up consuming or destroying rare mushrooms as a result. However, Sally didn't care. Skye made Sally feel love and joy again. Unfortunately, things were about to take a turn for the worst. Sally experienced a severe stomachache one day. She went in and out of clinics throughout the next 2 weeks. Her agony worsened, but her doctor continued to disregard it as acute. Dr. Campbell ultimately inferred that Sally might be a hypochondriac, which horrified Sally. She was in excruciating pain, and it was worsening by the day. Her only comfort through this horrid period was Skye. Her loyal dog never left her side. She intuitively supported Sally by resting her chin on her stomach and intently sniffing her belly. Sally grew weaker and more frustrated with her doctor as his tests kept coming back negative, and he began suggesting she seek psychiatric help. Sally noticed that Skye always sniffed her belly at a specific spot. Oddly, it wasn't the spot where she felt pain. As the sniffing grew more frenzied, Sally's own instincts kicked in. She asked for more scans but requested her doctor to focus on the spot Skye kept sniffing. Dr. Campbell was amazed when it revealed a golf ball-sized tumor that could be seen now. Glad to finally have proof that she wasn't imagining the pain, Sally began treatment. She'd lost a lot of time, which angered her. The tumor was pressing down on her bowel, which was why the pain was in a different spot. It had started to spread, and now it was a question of whether it could still be operated on. Despite being a tricky surgery, the tumor was successfully removed. Sally decided not to hold Dr. Campbell responsible for misdiagnosing her. It was no indictment of his expertise. Skye was just a special dog. After many months, Sally made a full recovery. The pair eventually moved to a new house, but to her horror, Skye began sniffing at her belly again one day. This time, Sally didn't hesitate and immediately got a scan in the exact spot that Skye had been sniffing. Once again, she caught the danger before the doctors. The second tumor turned out to be benign. For many survivors, early detection of recurrence is a constant worry. Sally, fortunately, never had to live in fear again with Skye at her side.